What an afternoon. What an afternoon, and welcome to Tuesday and to our live call. And today's topic is on the subject of including yourself in digital spaces. I'm Michelle Giuliano. I'm one of the founders of Salt Consulting and Communications. Denise Nickerson is my business partner. She's on medical leave, but she breathes the words into my mouth somehow magically every Tuesday. These talks are designed with and by her, and in our partnership together with Dev Rivers, who's our community manager, and Valdone Mylan, who is a coach and facilitator in the Integrity Works 12-week group coaching program that Denise and I have co-founded, co-authored, and that we run with many people who join us from multiple continents around the world. And these are men and women who are interested, like you, in personal and professional development. This topic today is about showing up in digital spaces and about including yourself. For those who don't know and haven't yet seen, Denise has given a TEDx talk on radical inclusion to humanize digital spaces. And I encourage everyone to go see her TED Talk, to click on it and see it. She filmed it in the middle of the pandemic, so with zero audience in a studio all by herself. And bless her for doing it, because the content that she shared is priceless for any community manager and any leader who really wants to really understand how to invite, excite, and include and lead digitally. Today we're talking about you and inserting yourself. And one of the most critical elements is to just realize that digital spaces are like any other space in the world. There are cultural norms and there are rules, and depending on whether or not we're communicating via email or via chat, or whether we're on a platform like Amazon or like LinkedIn or some sort of social network like Facebook, like we are right now, how you show up matters to not only you, but to those receiving you. We have to follow certain cultures, certain norms, but we also have to be true to ourselves. We have to be who we are in a digital space. We can't just follow norms and expect the world to go with us. So showing your face is one of the most important inclusion tactics that we have available to us. And while we understand that not everybody can show their face all of the time, we can't always come live when somebody's live. We can't always, if you're feeling particularly ill, through this COVID pandemic, many people who should be in bed have shown up for some of their Zoom meetings. In Integrity Works, for our digital learning program, we encourage people to come as you are, because this is learning for you. And so we don't care at all if people are in their business suits and showing up from a high gloss work, high rise structure, and somebody who's tuning in with a baby on their shoulder and sitting in their pajamas and chilling at home, as a single father was recently doing. So how you show up and how you show your face, having your name at the bottom of the screen, these are some of the basics and practical implications of how we come together digitally. And it's different, right? Many women have even commented on changing the sizes of their earrings or changing their fashion and design in order to look good on a Zoom call or a Teams call, versus when we are walking through a building and we're able to be seen and taken in from head to toe. So how you start, how you ignite, how you use your hands is bigger in an arena than when you are, dealing digitally like this. So showing up and presence in digital spaces begins with your face. I think it is also really helpful, particularly for job seekers who maybe aren't in the corporate structure and don't have an everyday comparative analysis to understand. We tend not to think about having an ever-ready camera angle or shot. I love aspects of what you see behind me. I hate aspects. I really need to change that picture frame behind me because it shows my light and it shows my moving, whereas a matte canvas would be better. Denise has a corner of her room. She calls it her studio. It is a very small corner of the room. You would not be able to do yoga in this studio, but it's really classy. She's got a tall wooden piece of furniture. She's got a raised desk for her computer, and it means that she can do hair and makeup and show up 1 minute before the scheduled time, because no one is allowed to use that space but her. So she has an ever-ready space with her lights available, with her microphone ready to go, and there's just nothing like being able to be ready to perform or say yes to that job interview by having a space. So those are some of the practical implications of making yourself feel free to show up. As always, I have 5 tips for you. Tip number 1 is show your face. Tip number 2 is realize where you are today. I think it cannot be overstated how important it is to be current with yourself. Oftentimes life is going so quickly. Oftentimes life is moving so quickly. Even my voice and my words are coming out faster than I'm ready. That we don't remember to take a digital inventory. Where are we showing up? Where are we right now? So when we're thinking about digital spaces and digital platforms, I think it's important to think about, to have an expansive mindset about that. How do you show up when you are showing up in your emails? How do you show up in chats and in WhatsApps? How are you present? Are you one of the people who's communicating in a Teams meeting with individuals privately or with the group and the whole? Do you ask a lot of questions? Where are you? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Do you have an Instagram account? If you're running a small business and it's a things business, do you have an Etsy shop or are you on Pinterest? How do you show your face and where? And what about the timing? What about the frequency? Are you writing articles and blogs on a regular basis? Are you a thought leader who on LinkedIn is writing one of those 2 or 3 part articles that says part 1 of 3 in my series on how to be present in digital spaces? So taking a digital inventory of where you are right now is a great way to awaken to, is this working for you? And that possibility to be evaluative about your time, what is sucking your time and not necessarily adding value, what is enraging you and putting you right in that rabbit hole of spiral and pain of the current geopolitical landscape or politics or whatever might be. Thrilling or upsetting. Is this a good use of your time and attention? And when we're setting our priorities and thinking a little bit with a coaching mindset and a self-coaching mindset about what do I want and what do I really want and who's important to me in my life, wouldn't I rather spend my time and attention with clients or with nurturing a community or with other thought leaders and writers and speakers versus, spiraling down some rabbit hole that is a time suck and a waste and not necessarily going to fuel me with energy or allow me to leave that lasting footprint or impact, have the impact that I want to have in my life when I'm thinking about leading professionally and digitally. The third tip is thinking about your digital presence strategy. So if tip 2 is really about where are you in digital spaces and taking that digital inventory, then tip 3 is really about where do you want to be? Where do you need to be? I think it's important to pay attention to the fact that life changes. When you are a sales professional working for an IT company, you might have a different tone and a different tempo and a different pace and a different digital presence than the same person who decides to enter into philanthropy or to launch or be part of a foundation or to really devote his or her life to a particular sustainable development goal or to elimination of plastics from the oceans. So when we think about the kind of content that we're generating and what it says about us, it's such a great opportunity to inject your voice backed with your identity or your new identity, your shifting identity, your values, your wants and dreams, and your ideation, or to consider that question, where do you want to be? Think about it also in terms of how are you showing up? Do you need some tips and tricks for how you present digitally? How you want to engage with those in your community that you want to elevate? Do you want to be the person who's sharing content coming from thought leaders that you respect and admire, or from institutions that are research backed, putting publications out that speak to you or your organization or to your global goals and the things that you want to advance? What do you want your digital footprint to be? One of the things that I love most about this space here in Coach Within, but also all digital spaces, the fact that both Denise and I have given TED Talks means that we have a link that we can share. So when we're auditioning for, a talk or a workshop, we can say, here's a chance to view one of the talks that we've delivered, and it happens to be on one of the world's best stages, a TEDx stage. So what is that footprint and how does it help you? we made an Amazon best-selling book. So we now have a footprint on Amazon. I can promise you that I did not know that I wanted to be on Amazon. I had not aspired my whole life to be an author or a writer, but I'm sure that there are people listening in to this video who do aspire to be authors and writers and to get published. And when you do, what a great opportunity to, even before you do, like if you have that aspiration, that is a place where you want to be seen. That is a place where you want to be showing your face and having your name associated with really important texts or works. So for example, if you think that you want to be an author and you've never written a book review, it's probably a good idea to go on Amazon and write a great book review. Review a book that you love. Review a book from a friend that maybe wasn't the best and most glorious book in the world, but meets one of your goals, which is about showing up for your friends in digital spaces, or elevating those books that you know are going to, if one of your goals is improving your relationships with others, then there's a great obvious opportunity to do so, in that it will really elevate that book and that person and your real, genuine, in life, not just digital, connection with one another, because that gratitude and appreciation for any small business owner is just huge. So I've been thinking a lot about SALT's digital presence in our strategy as a business, but also mine. And you can see evidence of it because I think this is our 5th talk. So we've been here for 5 weeks together. I have changed behaviors. I have showed up for live calls every Tuesday, and on Friday, everybody is welcome to join at a coffee break. And so 5 weeks ago, this group didn't exist. This platform and this opportunity to connect and ask questions and to be together wasn't yet born or conceived. And you are invited to do the same. You're invited to think about how you want to connect with others in digital spaces. I absolutely love that in Integrity Works, we meet twice weekly on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and we are doing live coaching. We are, piggybacking on the back of really thoughtful inclusions from anonymous surveys that our community is participating in. And I love it so much. I love the people. I love the talent that we attract. And so I like that together on Fridays, we get together in this much more informal way and casual way to just connect across time and space and to leave a digital footprint. Those calls are recorded, so people who can't show up for coffee on Friday at 11, they are able to seed their questions here in the community, right? You are invited to ask questions. You're invited to post on the subjects of your own personal growth or development, right now on the subject of your digital presence or your digital strategy, any coaching questions, of course. And bring those questions to the Friday coffee, and let's chat and chill and hang out together. So we had 5 tips for you. I think I've gotten through 3, and I'll be brief with the remaining 2. So tip number 1 about including yourself in digital spaces is to show your face. Tip number 2 is take that digital inventory. Where are you present? Is it working for you? Where do you need to be is tip number 3. What is your digital presence strategy? Where do you need to be? What's going to work for you going forward? And how do you want to show up? I think it's fun to think about how you're showing up in terms of the verbs. Like, are you going to be giving? Are you going to be receiving? Right? What you're putting out and sharing, what you're listening and consuming. Being conscious about that, and how you're showing up with and for your friends in digital spaces, for the small business owners that you love, or those in your neighborhood or your community, for the industries that you serve or that you care about or that you follow, for your hobbies and your passions and your teams and your fan base or or those that you admire. So who are you, and who are you going to be in digital spaces are great questions to ask yourself. Tip number 4 is realizing that we are representing. So it's this idea to represent. When you bring your face and your name, bring your whole self forward in digital spaces to the best of your ability. Play in the spaces where you can. So we represent just by showing up, just by turning our camera on to say hello or goodbye. If you're not feeling well that day, turn your camera off for a moment, but do turn it on if you can, so that you represent, because no one can be you. No one can represent you better than you. No one has your face. No one has your structure of thoughts or ideas. No one is master of his or her projects to the extent that you are. And the world needs your voice. That's a quote from Denise. The world needs your voice. We need a better world. And when I think about that better world, it begins with including you. There really are, yeah, terrible pressures and power structures and greed and takery at hand. And if we want that better, braver, brighter world, a more courageous way to be, we have to lead it. And we lead it by becoming and becoming more able and more proficient and more prolific, more impactful when we're leading digital and leading in digital spaces and putting ourselves out there. I love Brene Brown's vulnerability talk and the Man in the Arena speech, and I think it helps me every time that I need to go live, trust systems and platforms, dare to go again and repeat. But I know that there are people out there who need this message, and the isms of the world, racism, sexism, homophobia, ageism, ableism, there are systemic injustices, and the best way to combat these is through inclusion. We don't get diversity and equity without inclusion. Include your face, include your voice, include your thought leadership, include your passions and your projects. And representing doesn't mean we're marching every day. Representing doesn't mean that that you have to be on a fight or on a mission, though it can be, and you're invited to. I think it's also, if your passion is rowing like mine is, then speak that passion and speak that truth and play in those spaces. And if it's music and you're producing something, then share that and be that. And if you want to talk math, then talk about mathematics. This this human potential, the opportunity to realize and become and not waste and squander human potential, can be amplified by you using your voice, by me using mine, and by us modeling that behavior so that our children and our friends and neighbors and our loved ones also feel elevated, get uplifted, and get that permission and that modeling to feel invited to do so. So whether you are sharing your knowledge, whether it's your compassionate heart that is how you are serving or solving or being seen, whether or not we are listening and giving our presence, or asking. I mean, there's nothing like a quality question to uplift a speaker or a facilitator or to further a good agenda or a conversation that you want to keep going or to better understand people. When you share your dreams and represent those dreams, it's daring and it's brave and it's courageous, and definitely do it when you're ready and not before to get a whole bunch of feedback. But sharing dreams gives permission to others to dream and to share theirs too. And in that way, we all are elevated. When you're representing your passions and your interests, you're saying to the world that this matters, or at least it matters to me, it matters to you. And you matter, your voice matters, and your ability to take up space physically, digitally, and leave a lasting impact and imprint on the world is an invitation through these free platforms and these free offers. And we want you to include your voice here, which leads us right into Coach Within, as sort of the bullet 5. But before I go too quickly, I want to really make an explicit invitation to each of you to invite men, women, all genders, all races. This is a community where we want diversity and we want inclusion, and we know, and if you don't know, we want to tell you that you have to actively